Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 28 of the Fiber and Dice podcast. I am your host, Rebecca. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Engineers Falcon. You can find our group on Ravelry by searching for Fiber and Dice podcast. You can find show notes at www.bluebonnetfibers.com. And you can, show notes. Yes, show notes. And if you want to Instagram about anything about the podcast, use the hashtag Fiber and Dice Podcast, all one word. FIBERANDDICEPODCAST. And if you would like to watch on YouTube, you can find me on YouTube by searching for Fiber and Dice. FIBERANDDICE, all one word. So, welcome. How is everybody this week? I am going to take a stab at something new. The engineer is doing show notes, and he likes things orderly. And while he didn't actually say, is there any way you could make your podcast go in the normal order? As he was making the show notes, he kept having to rearrange things. So we are going to try to do something totally crazy. I'm going to try to have an order for the episodes. I do a lot of the same segments every week, but I never do them in the same order. So we're going to try it. If I think it's boring, I will change it. But I know it makes show notes faster, and since he is being good enough to make them for me, I think I should make his job as easy as possible. That seems like the kind thing to do to me. So first is peaks. Peaks and pitfalls. What good things are happening this week? I could not sleep on Saturday night. There were about 6 things that went wrong. Heartburn and snoring husband and horrible nightmares and all of those kinds of things. But the good thing that came out of it, I designed a board game. I am so excited. It is, I'm working up a prototype right now. It will be for, 6 to 10-year-olds. And it will be somewhere between, kids games and grown-up games, like middle grade games. And I am really excited about it. I just want to use a lot of elements of grown-up games, playmats and dice for battles and those kinds of things, but give it a scaled-back theme. So, as there is more to talk about that, I will let you know. But I'm hoping once we play it a little bit and alpha test it and have some prototypes, I can get some of you with kids in that age range to play test it for me. So I will be making an official call for playtesters here, hopefully, in the next couple months. So I am really excited about that. And I was afraid I was going to get up the next morning because, sometimes things sound really good in the middle of the night, but the next morning, not so much. But this is still a really solid game in the morning. And the husband was impressed, and the children want to play it. So I've been trying to get all the prototype pieces made. So you guys can be looking forward to that for me. That sounded really stupid. You can be thinking if you want to play test that for me. How does that sound? Pitfalls. This episode is going to be called Negative Progress Socks. The socks for the engineer. Do you remember I told you that I'd ripped them out, but I was making really good progress on them? I did. I made such good progress on them. I got to the heel, and look at them now. I got to the heel, and I thought, this ball of yarn is looking kind of small, and the engineer does have big feet. And so I weighed it, and there was not going to be enough to make a heel and a leg and a cuff, and he likes longer socks. So I ripped it back, I think time 4 or 5. But there is some Knit Picks gloss dough color, light brown color. Kind of a medium brown. It's not like a pale tan. Maybe more like one of these brown colors in here. And it is on its way. So that will be here next week, and I can restart those, and I'm just going to do the toes and the heels, and maybe, depending on how long he wants them, the cuffs in a light brown. So I was a little bummed about that, but it's just part of the process. You just rip it out and enjoy extra bonus time with your yarn. It's the only major pitfall this week, I think. So not a bad week if the worst that happened is you had to take half a sock out. Yeah, I think that's the attitude we're going to adopt on this week. Peaks, pitfalls, mountain of conquered things. I finished the London Fog spinning. I love it. I think it's really gorgeous. It is a little springy because it just came off the wheel literally like 30 minutes ago and it has not had a bath yet. So it has not relaxed and had a chance to rest any. I applied, I did apply. I applied it this afternoon. Early this morning, I spun the other 4 ounces and then I applied it this afternoon and skeined it up. So, good times. No, but I am pleased with it. I think it's really gorgeous. I love these colors. I always love how they play up. This is the 3rd time I've spun London Fog from Fat Cat Knits, and I love it every single time. I've never spun it. It's on variegated BFL that I was not pleased. What else is finished? I told you last week that I was going to start practicing or learning to ply some of the fiber I had with some metallic thread. And so I took the Mottled Mermaid the day that the thread got here from Amazon. The yellow-green color here was created by LCB. And I don't know if you can see all those little sparkles in it, but I am so very pleased. I just took a little bit off the tip and spun it, and the thread is incredibly thin. I was expecting it to be thin, but I didn't have a picture in my mind. So I wanted to spin this, somewhat thin-ish so that it wouldn't, you can make some really cool stuff with them wildly different sized, but I didn't want to do it with a bulky this time. And I really do want yardage on it. But I love it. I think it's really pretty. So that little mini skein is finished. I finished listening to one book this week. It is on Audible. It was Mason Dixon, Knitting Outside the Lines. It is the blog entries and stories behind patterns and stuff from the book that the authors narrate. And it was fine. I enjoyed it. I did look at the library for the book because I thought it might be kind of fun to see the patterns in it, but they didn't have it. So I'll keep my eye out for it. It was not, wasn't my favorite knitting book I've ever listened to, but there was nothing wrong with it. I thought that I thought they kind of had a little bit of a judgy tone sometimes about what amazing parents they are and, lazy knitters who don't know how to invent their own stuff and rely on patterns. I don't know. None of it was offensive, and I enjoyed most of the stories, but there were quite a few times I was like, drop the judgy tone. But in all fairness, sometimes I miss humorous tone and hear judgy instead, so it could have been that it was really funny, and I just missed the humor in it. So don't take my word on that. Read it for yourself if you want to. The other thing that we have done this week is we set a new goal to find 52 geocachers. Geocaches. We are geocachers. We have been caching for a long time now, way before it was cool to be a geocacher. And we had not cached at all since we moved to Midland over a year ago. So we decided this year we're going to shoot for one a week. We decided that officially towards the end of January, so we only found one in January, but we'll catch up. I don't think we'll have any trouble. We're traveling a lot, and it's always fun to geocache in other cities. But we found 2 here in town, and so we have 2 of our 52 caches found, and that was fun. It was fun to get out and do that again. If you geocache, we are engineers, smiths, all one word, no punctuation, no apostrophe or anything. So, yeah. But that was fun. It was fun to have that hobby out and do that again. What do I have climbing the mountain this week? I have 2 things. One, I told you I was going to start that hat, and I did. And I don't know why I was being such a baby about this. I was so flipped out about starting this hat, and I am having fun. I am really enjoying it. Here here's what I've got done. I got the brim on. Of course, I had to take it out 3 times because me, but you can see the color work and the cables starting to show up. And I'm using my new little stitch markers from Kim that I got in the mail last week, and I'm loving them. Little fun bright spots. Here's my start of row marker, is the little flip-flop. So, and I'm using Knit Picks. These come in their 7s of whatever their metal is. I don't usually use metal, but yeah, I couldn't find needles. My needles are a train wreck. That's my next thing to organize, is to get my needles in order. It was bad. The other thing that is Climbing the Mountain is a totally new project that I did not even expect to knit this year. My friend Glinda, who her shop is Shrieking Violet. Shrieking Violet. She was knitting this entrelac scarf, and I fell in love with it. And then she started a second one. She was having so much fun with it. And I really fell in love with it. It was Rainbows and Blacks. And then she said, you should learn to knit it. The yarn is on sale on Webs. And I said, seriously? And she said, yes, seriously. And so I got online and looked, and it was on sale. It was still on sale. I was afraid because it took me like 3 days that it would have not been on sale because I dawdled. And it was. And so I got yarn, and I am learning to do entrelac, and I love it. Let me grab the... I actually got stuff for 2 of them, and I'm so glad I did because it was on sale. It was like half price, so I should totally do it. The color that I'm using is called Fruit Salad. It's Cascade. And the solid color I'm using is Barocco Vintage in some kind of brown color. I don't know if it has a name or not. It's my first time to knit with both of these. In fact, I think it might be my first time to knit with a Cascade or a Barocco. So I feel like all cool now. Here's the Fruit Salad. And here's the brown. And I love them, and they are looking so pretty together. So I have done the starting row. I don't know any of the official terms for this because I've never done this before. But she's walking me through it. I've done the starting row, and then my first row of like fill in the color rectangles. And I love it. It started with this orange, and then it went into this tealy turquoisey color, and then into pink. And I'm fixing to start back with the brown. So it's like the best potato chip knitting ever in the whole world. I love it. If that's not something you know how to do, you should totally learn. It's way fun. So that is everything that is Climbing the Mountain this week. What is in base camp? Of course, the engineer socks are in base camp. Oh, that's why I started this project. Because this project cannot be done while we're gaming or visiting with other people. So this is my conversation knitting. That's what Christine says from KDLB. She is Yarning's podcast. She calls this conversation knitting, and that's the perfect term for it. So since this conversation knitting came off the needles, I started this conversation knitting. Oh, and I have a quick confession to make. You know, last week I was talking about knitting socks on my 47-inch needles of crazy longness, and I was going to be content with what I had. I ordered some shorter ones. And I will tell you why. We are going to Disney in 3 weeks. And the thought of sitting on the airplane and in Disney World with that massively long cable, I just don't want to do it. So I did not replace all of my sock needles, but I did order 2, one for the plane and one to put in my bag in case something goes wrong and it breaks or I lose it or it gets confiscated. No idea what that sound is. Random alarm. Oh, and you know what? It said snoozed. I don't want it to be snoozed. I want it to be canceled. I don't know what that alarm is set for. But in case you were curious, it is now officially 4 o'clock. Random. So, for traveling. I'm sure it is. I did not think of that. I said it, so I took a nap yesterday afternoon. She reminded me. Before gym, and gym's at 4:30, so it was set to wake me up at 4. She's a smarty. So, those are base camp. Those are waiting for new needles in the rest of the yarn. And Mottled Mermaid. This is what I used to make that little mini skein with the silver. This is waiting for the, it was waiting for London Fog to be off my wheel. And the other thing that is in base camp is as soon as I'm done with the engineer socks, I'm going to knit some socks for my sister to give as a birthday gift. She has a friend who adores socks. If you've been watching for a while, then you'll remember last year I did some orange socks, and they were for this friend. And so I'm going to knit for her again this year. And this is Cyborg's Craft Room. I don't remember which sock base it is, but it's Monet's Garden is the colorway. So I'm excited to have this on the needles. In fact, I'd hoped that the engineer socks would be off the needles so I could knit those in Disney, the birthday socks in Disney, so my sister could say, we knit your birthday socks in Disney. I thought that might be fun, but that may not work out. We'll see. Ducks in a row. I got good feedback on the mini ducks in a row. I'm glad. I do like for this time to be useful at least to somebody and not just me talking to myself about my own, self-proclaimed brilliant ideas. I like to save ball bands. Do you keep your ball bands from your yarn? I saved them all. There's a big bag of them in our storage shed that we are going to go through before this year is over and not get rid of the ball bands, but we're hoping to clean it out enough we can get rid of that storage shed. But I have quite a few that came with us from Corpus that didn't go into storage, and then even more since we moved. And they have been a pain. But I hate to get rid of them because as we discussed last week, am not great at keeping up with my stuff on Ravelry. So I came up with what I think is a slightly brilliant. I think it's a good idea. I am using business card sheets and folding them and sliding them in there and then writing the project on it and the year I knit it. So today, when I needed to talk about these for this project, I knew exactly where they were and what I had used. Because how many times have you heard me say, I don't know where the ball band is. I don't know where the tag is, but I will find it. I have found a lot of those because I got organized. I did end up only keeping one of each color, but I did keep one of each color again so I can refer back to those. So there were only a couple I had to really fold up, like these want to be smaller, but pretty much everyone else is slid in pretty easy peasy. So I like it, and I've already referred back to it 2 or 3 times, and it was fun to remember all those projects. So that is my ducks in a row for the week. I guess that brings us to Gamerly News. Welcome to Gamerly News. The first thing I have for you is a prize drawing. I'm so excited. I say prize drawing, I mean prize rolling, because we roll dice for gaming prizes, because hello, Fiber and Dice. So, we closed, early morning, February 1st, we closed the thread for the January # Fiber and Dice knit along, game along on Instagram. The winner is number 19, KP Posta, and she was playing Splendor. So, let me know that you won. I'm so excited. And PM me, and I will get you a pattern of your choice. I think I said 7 or less from Ravelry. So, yay. I think that because we're doing these challenges all year, Gamerly News, for the first episode of the month, I am going to just kind of go over the rules a little bit. I might drop some new information in there. So, if you're at all interested in gaming, don't don't turn me off quite yet. The first bit of news is, well, let me look. What order? See, I made show notes. I'm sorry, I have to keep looking down to read them. I didn't memorize them. Okay, we're running 3 challenges this year. Number 1 is the Fiber and Dice Challenge. The point of this challenge is to get you to game and to get you to knit and game together if at all possible, because it's a great time for conversation knitting. And if you play with people who make really slow turns, it can save your sanity. So, to join any of these competitions, any of these challenges, join my Rav group. Join the thread of the competition you want to compete in and make a post letting me know who you are and who you are on Instagram. Game. Take Instagram pictures, add the appropriate hashtag. That's it. That's all you have to do. If you are participating in the Fiber and Dice Challenge, you need to game and knit and hashtag it Fiber and Dice, FiberAndDice. That's it. I need to see your knitting in the picture. I need to see your game in the picture. Let me know what you're playing. I love it. And here's the biggest news about the Fiber and Dice Challenge. I have added a prize. This one is the most special to me because I just want people to game and knit. That's my biggest purpose, is to open this fun world of gaming up to people. So, if you win a month of the challenge, then you can't win another pattern throughout the year, but you will still be eligible for the end of the year gift, and I'm excited about this. I will hand spin a skein of a braid of my fiber for you. I will send you some pictures of what I have in my stash, and you can pick whichever you want, and I will spin it up for you. I will do a drawing from all of the entries at the end of the year or early next year. So, if you are interested in getting my hand spun, I think that sounds really arrogant. My hand spun is so fabulous it would make a gift, but I think it's something fun I can do to encourage you, one, to keep playing if you, even if you win, and two, to jump in if you have been hesitant to and you like to knit with handspun. So, new prize. Challenge number 2 is 2 by 2 by 12. The goal of this challenge is to play new things. Try to play 2 games that you have never played before or that you haven't played in 2 years, 2 times in any given month. If you did not participate in January or did not complete it in January, don't worry about it. Pick something new in February and jump right in. When you join that thread, let me know your Instagram name. Let me know what 2 games you're playing this month. And then when you play, hashtag it. Hashtag FiberAnd2x2. Fiber and Dice 2 by 2. And the third challenge we're running this year, the prize for that is at the end of the year, I will draw someone for a $30 worth of gifts, not any gifts, games from Amazon. So, third challenge is to encourage you to get deeper into games, and that's the 10 by 10 in 2015 challenge. And this is where you pick games. Our family is shooting for 10 games, 10 times each. If you don't have that many games or don't have that many games you want to delve that deep into, that's fine. Pick 1 or 2, and throughout the year, if you want to add more to that list, you may. So when you join that thread, let me know who you are on Instagram and list as many of those 10 games as you have. And as you add new ones throughout the year, go in and update that. When you play those games, hashtag them Fiber and Dice, FiberAnd, 10x10, Fiber and Dice 10 by 10. And I will post stalk you and see what you are playing and add you to my game list. The prize for that will be $60 worth of games from Amazon at the end of the year. So much noise. If you would like sheets to track those on, the engineer has gotten those made. There are links on Instagram, not on Instagram, in the show notes, in the game threads on the RAV group. And they look like this. This is the 10 by 10 one. The 2 by 2 is similar. So you write the name of the game here, and you've got 10 spots to write dates. If you would like to use this, don't feel like you have to. I don't use it because I like to write everything down. I'd already made me one of these before he got this made. So don't feel like you have to use it. But if you would like to use that to help you track your stuff, I thought it was real sweet of him to sit down and get those made for us. So you have spots for all 10 of your games and an alternate. And last but not least, what have we played this week? And where are we on our personal challenges? All the games. I know there's a section in here called All the Games. All the games. In 10 by 10, we played D&D again. It was even more fun now that we know what we're doing. We played another game of Machi Koro. Charles and the kids played that Sunday morning. I slept in a little bit. We got a new game, Pandemic the Cure. It is a dice rolling game. I will be talking about it very soon because it is way fun and we loved it. That is one of my 2 by 2 by 12. The first ones were 10 by 10. This was a 2 by 2. And then we are up to 46 games of our 365 this year. So, way excited about that. We didn't play a whole lot since last I podcasted. We played Machi Koro, we played D&D, we played Pandemic. Yep, that's about it. It has not been a real gamey week because I've had other things to do in the evenings, like file taxes and organize birthdays. My first baby is turning 12 next week. That's why we're headed out of town in a few minutes to go and celebrate with family for that. So, I will have a game of the week next time I record. I might record on Fridays from now on. We'll see. I'm trying to be more systematic about this, but I make no promises. I think that's all I know. So get out there, game, knit, spin, craft. But most of all, find ways you can enjoy your time with your friends and family. We do that by gaming. So, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, I will see you guys again next week. Bye.